Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. And blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. And blessed are the persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed are you when people insult you, falsely accuse you, persecute you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven, for in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. One of the secrets to a good sermon, so I've been told, is to open with a surprising attention getter that signals to the listeners that what follows is not going to be business as usual. And that's certainly the way Jesus opened his famous Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5. He begins with a series of shocking, surprising blessings known as the Beatitudes. And maybe the most important thing you need to know about the Beatitudes is that they are primarily declarations of good news. They are announcements of the gospel. In the original language, the first word in each statement is notoriously difficult to translate into English. Most scholars settle for blessed as the best of the less than perfect options. But other possibilities are happy, or fortunate, or flourishing, or even congratulations, which is my personal favorite because I think it captures the surprising, shocking nature of these announcements. For they are declarations of good news. And each beatitude addresses a specific group of people who are promised a blessing, usually in the future, which is why Jesus is congratulating them. The Beatitudes are not commands to be obeyed. They are blessings and promises. It is very difficult to obey a promise. Jesus isn't giving us something to obey. He's not telling us that we must intentionally become poor in spirit. He's not commanding us to mourn even when we have nothing to be sad about. He's not instructing us to go out and get ourselves persecuted. These are not entrance requirements, things we have to do to enter the kingdom. They are good news announcements about those who are already in or those who are entering the kingdom. The people groups Jesus mentioned would have never been considered blessed or flourishing in the ancient world, or in the modern world either, for that matter. Jesus is speaking of the last, whom he says are now first in the kingdom. The Beatitudes are Jesus rolling out the red carpet for the ignored nobodies of the world who are now somebodies to be congratulated because the kingdom of heaven is theirs. So first and foremost, these Beatitudes, when you read them, when you memorize them, when you put them on a magnet and stick them on your refrigerator, they are announcements of good news, but they're so much more than that. So they're also invitations to draw near to and become more like Jesus. They're not commands to be obeyed, but they do invite us to assess ourselves. How can we not hear these blessings and then not reflect and ask ourselves, is Jesus describing me in any of those? Do I fit into that list of those who are blessed? Do I even want to fit into that list of the blessed ones? Am I ready? Am I prepared to live in the kind of world Jesus is describing in these Beatitudes? And therein lies the invitation. Here's an imperfect illustration of the way they work. Imagine a father says, "Blessed is my 15-year-old son, because I will give him my truck when he turns 16. Now, is there a command to be obeyed anywhere in there? No. Is the promise of the truck conditional upon anything the son must do except surviving until he's 16 years old? Just stay alive until then? No. So where's the invitation? Well, young man, you're going to be receiving a truck. It might be a good idea to learn to drive. Get your license. Begin to live into that promise that's coming so that you can make the most of the blessing you're about to receive. It's an invitation. On one level, the Beatitudes are describing those who are naturally drawn to Jesus. The broken, the hurting, the oppressed, the outcast, the hungry. They're the ones who are and will be at home in the kingdom of heaven. But on another level, these Beatitudes are also describing the kind of people we can expect to become as we give our lives to following Jesus. Notice how Jesus himself embodies all the characteristics of the Beatitudes. It's a description of the crowd that's gathered around him, but it's also a description of Jesus himself. And if, as his disciples, we expect to become like the one we follow, then we can expect to become more and more like those Jesus describes in the Beatitudes. Which is why these Beatitudes then are also invitations to join Jesus in turning the world upside down. I first learned about Bizarro World from Seinfeld. I've learned so much from Seinfeld. But Seinfeld didn't invent Bizarro World. Seinfeld got Bizarro World from, anybody know? Superman, that's right. You can learn a lot from Superman too. In Superman and then in Seinfeld, Bizarro World is a realm that has been flipped upside down so that everything is the exact opposite from the way the normal or the so-called real world usually works. It sounds a lot like Jesus' description of the kingdom of heaven to me. In the Beatitudes, in essence, Jesus is saying, welcome to Bizarro World because I am turning conventional wisdom upside down. What does that mean? Well, conventional wisdom says, blessed are the independently wealthy, those who have the resources to take care of themselves in a time of need so that they never have to ask or depend on anyone else for help. And Jesus says, no. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Flourishing are the desperate. Congratulations to those who have hit rock bottom and now realize Jesus is their only hope. For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Conventional wisdom says, blessed are those who have the means to insulate themselves, protect themselves from the pain and suffering of the world. And Jesus says, no, blessed are those who mourn. Happy are those whose hearts are broken by the brokenness of the world. And congratulations to those who are able to sit with and bear witness to the pain, both theirs and their neighbors, for they will be comforted. Conventional wisdom says, blessed are the aggressive. Congratulations to the strong who were able to impose their will and always get what they want. And Jesus says, blessed are the meek. Happy are those who do not exploit others to get what they want, even though they have the power to do so. And even better, congratulations to those who do not have the power or the will to always force their way into a situation and get what they want. For they will inherit the earth. Conventional wisdom says, blessed are those who are always chasing after bright, shiny things, who hunger and thirst for new and improved, who crave bigger and better. And Jesus says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Congratulations to the oppressed who are craving justice for themselves and for their community, for they will be filled. Conventional wisdom says, blessed are those who set ridiculously high standards for others and refuse to accept weakness or mediocrity or failure. Happy are those who surround themselves with top performers. Congratulations to those who expect and refuse to settle for anything less than the best. And Jesus says, blessed are the merciful. Congratulations to those who love those who can't get it right, and forgive those who keep getting it wrong, for they will be shown mercy. Conventional wisdom says, blessed are those with the savvy to navigate complex political systems and situations. Happy are those who know how to cut corners to get ahead. Congratulations to those who can set aside their values in order to win at any cost. And Jesus says, no. Blessed are the pure in heart. Congratulations to those who refuse to set aside their values and principles, even though it means they will never get ahead, for they will see God. Conventional wisdom says, blessed are those who know how to mind their own business. Look the other way. Stay out of trouble. Congratulations to those who can go along to get along and avoid conflict at all costs. Jesus says, blessed are the peacemakers. Cheesemakers? No, the peacemakers who are willing to risk loving their enemies. Congratulations to those who befriend those who oppose them, for they will be called children of God. Conventional wisdom says, blessed are the popular, happy are those whom everyone likes. Congratulations to those who are always treated well. Jesus says, blessed are the persecuted. Congratulations to those who are ridiculed and insulted and excluded because of their commitment to me, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. As we become more like Jesus, and as we embody more of the characteristics of the Beatitudes, we should expect our presence in the world to challenge the way the world works. The Beatitudes are not harmless poetry. They are radical declarations, revolutionary declarations that the kingdom of darkness will not last forever because the kingdom of heaven is coming and, in fact, is already here through Jesus and his followers who are becoming more like him. Which is why ultimately these Beatitudes are an invitation into a risky way of life. These blessings, these promises, these words of good news are invitations to be more like Jesus and therefore invitations to take a risk. Dietrich Bonhoeffer summarizes the Beatitudes in his book, The Cost of Discipleship, this way. He says, having reached the end of the Beatitudes, we naturally ask if there is any place on this earth for the community which they describe. Clearly, there is one place and only one that is where the poorest, meekest, and most sorely tried of all men is to be found, on the cross at Golgotha. The fellowship of the Beatitudes is the fellowship of the crucified. With him it has lost all, and with him it has found all. From the cross there comes the call. Blessed, blessed. Jesus never hid or backed away from the reality that following him would get his disciples in a lot of trouble. This underscores the radical, revolutionary nature of his message. Jesus wasn't crucified because what he said and did made sense to everyone. They don't execute teachers of wisdom who come along and reinforce what everyone already knows. But they kill the ones whose teachings and way of life upset the status quo upon which those who have built their lives and kingdoms on conventional wisdom rest. To live into this kingdom, to embrace this vision, to draw near to and become more like Jesus is risky business. Jesus calls us to follow him. He calls us to risk being gentle in a violent world, to risk being kind and compassionate and merciful in a competitive culture, sincere in a cynical age, and to risk loving those who oppose us or wish us harm. Why would we ever take these risks? Why would we ever take these risks? Because the one we follow took these risks. The one we follow embodied these blessings and promises. And in doing so, showed us through his life, death, and resurrection that this risky path, this narrow way, leads to the good, the true, the beautiful, the blessed, the flourishing life. So may God give us the courage and the faith, the trust we need to keep following Jesus so that we can become more like him. In life, yes, but also in death and in the life to come. And as we become more like him, may we happily find ourselves among the blessed ones. Would you stand for the benediction? I'm going to try something a bit different with this benediction. I want to break the room into two halves, so we'll just split it right here down the middle. On this side, this will be your right, my left, the right side of the room. This side, you're the left side of the room. And I'm going to invite you all to read these Beatitudes one more time, but I'm inviting you to read them to one another. So on this side of the room, you'll have the first half of the Beatitude. This side, you'll have the last half. You have the blessed part. You have the promised part. And instead of reading these to me or to the screen or to an empty wall, I wonder, would you just tweak yourselves just a bit and turn just a bit? You don't have to look anyone in the eye or anything like that. But let's read these words, these blessings and promises from Jesus to one another. I'll direct this as best I can. Let's get started. Here we go. This side. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Go in peace.
Darkness, my God, that is who you